Hi everyone, and welcome to another review from Class 47 Peter. And in today's review we're going to be having a look at yet another Hornby model, as you can see. And in today's review we're going to be having a look at the M7 tank. I did already have an M7 prior to doing this review, but I did a small video on that model being advertised for sale, which at the time of filming this review that model still is up for sale, but by the time that this video has been uploaded that model will probably have been sold off. But I don't really want to wait around for that model to be sold off just to simply then do this review, because then I might have another backlog of models to look at, which I then probably might not have the time to review, and then by the time I can review them there's probably an even more backlog of them. So it makes sense really to get this review done now. Just like that M7 that I had up for sale, this model is in the Maunsell olive green livery, or southern green livery, which is beautiful. However, this model is slightly different to that model, and that's what I did point out in that video. I said I was going to get a slightly different model. That model I had up for sale had the extended running plate with the Westinghouse pump, which in reality is of a model of the M7 that would have run on the push-pull trains, as they were fitted with the equipment to run on them. This model has the short running plate, so in reality the M7s with the short running plates would not have run on push-pull trains in reality, but that doesn't mean I can't run this M7 on a push-pull train in model form. I have the push-pull coaches, I'm sure you've seen in the latest model railway videos I've done, and I've used locomotives on those occasions that wouldn't have run on push-pull trains in reality, because they wouldn't have been run with the necessary equipment to do so. But that doesn't stop me doing it in model form, because you don't have to run prototypical trains as such. The whole world's your oyster with model railways. There's a whole world of possibilities out there of things you can do with them. And so I can run this on a push-pull train if I want to. It's not prototypical, I know, but you don't necessarily have to have prototypical trains in model form, because in that sense it sort of provides a what-if scenario on your layout. In this case, what if the M7s with the shorter running plates ran on push-pull trains, or even better, what if the push-pull trains had come around in the southern days, because they didn't come around on the southern until BR days, so they wouldn't have run on those push-pull trains in southern green, they would have operated on them in BR black. So there's a bit of what if scenario there, and also to not have prototypical trains, it can be more interesting as well. Having both prototypical and non-prototypical trains, that can add more interest to a video, or even on a model railway. So let's not beat about the bush, let's get the review done with. So this is the older style Hornby packaging. As you can see, this is the box sleeve, which is a bit faded, but that doesn't matter. And you have a picture of the model, what you get inside the packaging, inside the box I should say rather. And on the back we have a photograph of the real locomotive with the running number that the model has, as you can see. And also on the back we have some brief history of the M7 in real life, and also a little bit of history about this particular one, 357. So you can pause and read that if you want to. I'm not going to stop you. So I'll put that down to one side. And then we'll open up the box. Now this is not the packaging that splits in two. Some of the M7s did have the packaging that split in two, but this one doesn't have it. This is the standard solid tray with the finger hole in the back. Inside here we have the instruction manual. Anything else? Nope. Other than the blank card at the front of the box there. And so here we have the instruction manual. And this is going to be the usual stuff that we've seen before. Yeah, it is. Lubrication, where to put the drops of oil. How to remove the body and fit in the accessories. And the location of the decoder. If you want to fit one, or in some cases if it's DCC fitted. But this model is DCC ready, so it doesn't have a decoder. Or at least it shouldn't. So I'll put the instructions to one side. And I'll put them in my folder later on. Then we take off the plastic window. Or cover. And put that to one side, and there is the model in the packaging, which looks stunning. And then we have a pack of details, which I will come on to, and we also have this, if I can get it out. I'm going to have to use these tweezers to get it out, because I barely have any fingernails. Yeah, it's a DCC ready jacket, or insulating cover. I'll put that to one side. So now we move on to the bag of details, which inside the little bag we get a couple of NEM tension lock couplings. We get a couple of these screw link couplings. And we also get a load of vacuum pipes as well, for the front and the back of the loco. Okay, so now we have to get the model out of the polystyrene tray. Have to be very careful with this. Don't want to snap off any of the detail. It is slightly hard to do because there's only one hole in the back of the box, so I'll just gently lift it out like so, without using the finger hole. And so there we go. So I'll put the box to one side, or the tray actually, and then we get this plastic cellophane sheet that we'll put to one side. And so we've got the model out safely. Not a single piece of missing detail anywhere in sight. Which makes me very happy, as this model is definitely better than the last one I had. All the detail is intact. But anyway, now we can move on to the detail. So first of all we'll talk about the weight, and this model does have quite a bit of weight in it. So this has plenty of weight to easily be able to pull a local sized train of 2 or 3 coaches, which is good because we need the weight in these models, because without the weight this model wouldn't be able to pull anything. So the weight is very important, and this model does have quite a bit of weight in it because it is quite heavy, which is good. Moving on to detail now, which this model has sprung metal buffers, as you can see. I don't have much care for sprung buffers, as I've said before, but if you like them then they'll keep you happy. On the buffer beam we have the locomotive's running number, 357, crisply printed on the front, and a separately fitted brake pipe, and you can also see the hole for the screw link coupling to go into. Underneath the buffer beam we have a couple of guard irons, and also you can see the NEM socket there for the coupling to go into on the front, if you wish to put one on, that is. On the running board we also have some separately fitted lamp irons, which is a nice bit of detail to have, as it makes the model look more realistic and more detailed. The smoke box door has some nice detail as well, which includes a separately fitted lamp iron on the top, 2 separately fitted lamp irons either side of the smoke box door, and we also have some smoke box door darts which are separately fitted as well, and they're painted as well, which is very nice. And we also have the smoke box door hinges as well. There's not really any detail on them, but they're there, so they're quite nice. We have a very nice chimney as well, which you can fit a smoke generator unit in there if you wish, but that's not really my thing, so I'm not going to bother. But it's there for you to do, if you want to. We have a separately fitted metal handrail running down alongside the boiler, which curves round up and above the smoke box door there, which is very nice. We also have the dome with the safety valves inside it, which is very nice, and the safety valves are nicely painted as well. We also have the whistle, of course, separately fitted, made of plastic. It's not a brass one, but it is painted and it looks nice, and we also have some very nice pipework detail there as well. I do love the lining on the boiler bands there, just look at that, very crisply and nicely done. We have a separately fitted handrail at the front of the water tank there. We have some visible daylight underneath the boiler there, and some pipework as well on the boiler, which looks very nice. We have some nice rivet detail on the smoke box as well, and a very nice wheel arch too. We also have some sandboxes and the sanding gear as well on the model, which looks very nice. We do also have this curious metal rod just at the front drive wheel there. I don't know what that's for. It's there on the real locomotive, but I don't know what it's for. So if any of you guys know out there, then please do let me know. We have some very nice lining on the running plate, as well as some nice rivet detail as well. We have a couple of footsteps in between the two drive wheels there, on both sides of the model of course, and there's some nice rivet detail on them as well. We can't leave out the side rods on this model. Just look at that. Can't wait to see those moving on the model like you do in real life, which will be good to see. We have some separately fitted pipework as well underneath the running plate by the bogie wheels there, which looks very nice and painted too. We also have some rivets as well on the frames of the model, which looks very nice. Certainly adds to the detail of it. On top of the water tanks we have some very nice detail, which also includes the water feeler cap as well, which doesn't open, but it doesn't need to, because it would make the model look more expensive. Well, it would be more expensive, I should say, rather, but at least there's a water filler cap there on both sides of the model, so that's good. Now, one thing that is surprising about this model is the lack of the glazing in the cab windows, which is odd because I would have expected some glazing in the front windows there, but that doesn't really matter too much because the rest of the detail certainly makes up for that. On the sides of the cab there we have some very nice rivets, which looks very good, and again adds more realism to the model and more detail. Now the cab roof isn't all that interesting to look at, I'll be honest, but there is quite a lot of rivet detail on there, which is nice, and again adds more realism. We also have some separately fitted handrails there, just by the cab door, and underneath we have a footstep as well, with a couple of rivets on, and looks very nice. And then of course we have the painted cab interior, just look at that. All the gauges and the dials and the regulator, it's all painted and it just looks stunning, and it really does bring it to life like it's a real locomotive. Well, it is a real locomotive but in model form, but you know what I mean. It makes the model look more like the real thing with it all painted. Even the cab floor is painted as well, which is really nice. I didn't expect the floor to have been painted, but it is, and it looks nice. On the rear cab windows we have some guard irons there, and they're painted as well, and looks very nice. Interestingly though, there is actually some glazing in the rear cab windows, but yet there isn't any in the front cab windows. I don't know why, but they're there anyway. It would have been nice if there had been some glazing in the front cab windows, but like I said, it doesn't matter too much as the rest of the detail on the model makes up for that. But it's kind of puzzling though that they put glazing in the rear cab windows and not in the front ones, but there we go. Very much like on the front of the loco, we have metal sprung buffers, as you can see. We have a separately fitted brake pipe as well, and the locomotive's running number crisply printed on the back of the buffer beam there. We have some guide irons by the bogie wheels and an M socket to fit your coupling into. On the back of the cab we have loads of separately fitted lamp irons, and also we have a little plate there in the middle which has the locomotive's running number printed inside it. Just look at the detail on the coal rails there. That's separately fitted and that looks superb. And that just looks fantastic. Okay, so we're going to see if the coal load is removable. And I think it is, but we're going to check. Got a couple of grubby fingerprint marks on the roof. Oh, they'll be washed off later. Do excuse the slightly dodgy camera work for this. It's just because I couldn't really be bothered to get the tripod out again. And in the process I've actually bent the needle and broke it. There we go. The coal is indeed removable. And there is also some rivet detail inside there which looks nice. And I shall be getting some real stuff put inside here. So you can put real coal load in here if you want to. It's up to you. I shall definitely be doing that. Now the livery on this model is spot on. We've got the right shade of green, it's very nice and evenly painted, no errors in the paintwork. Very nicely done. And I just love the white lining on this, it's so beautifully done. We've also got the correct numbering and font, very nicely crisply printed. And I do like that cream colour it has as well. And on the other side of the model, there's only one slight difference, and that's the detail on top of the tanks there. It doesn't have the one detail there with the rivets on, like it does on the other side. But other than that though, the detail is pretty much the same. And again, stunning livery and applied lining, as well as the beautiful southern lettering and the numbers there as well. Moving on to the running performance now, and just look at how beautifully this model runs. That speaks for itself. There's no stuttering movement, or grinding noises, or motors burning out, anything like that. It runs exactly how it should, straight out of the box. So now we come to the loaded test run, in which we see the M7 pulling 3 of these Southern Region coaches. Not a very long train, I know, but then again these locomotives weren't really built to pull massively long trains. So I'll only mainly use the branch line services, such as the length of this train here. But even with 3 coaches behind, it still shows why the weight is important. So overall then, the Hornby M7 is a stunning model. If you haven't yet got one of these M7s, then go out and get one. I would highly recommend you add one to your collection, because they are definitely worth the money. So overall, I'm going to rate the Hornby M7 a 10 out of 10. This has been Class 47 Peter reviewing the Hornby M7 tank, and I'll see you again soon for the next review. But until then, look after yourselves.